Trumpageddon, Episode 10. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Ephesians 6-12. Welcome to the abyss, Gemma. It doesn't sound right. I may have been Gemma before I died, but I am Eliphas now. Very well, Eliphas. This is the last thing I want to show you before we go our separate ways. Eliphas and Lepage stood on the edge of time looking down into the abyss. The river roared above them, but branched downward into darkness in hundreds of tributaries, large and small. Why are some of the limbs blackened? You're sharp, my friend. That's exactly what General Fornius and I have been investigating. The short answer is they are dead branches off time. How can there be so many? I thought there was only past, present, and future. Time is a river of infinite possibilities. There is no right now. It only seems so from our perspective. Lepage pointed under their feet. This is the riverbed built of past events behind and potential events ahead of the crest of what we perceive as the present. Tributaries form when mankind alters the stream. When events of the future are negated by events in the past, they fall to the riverbed of the abyss. Recent changes are like sediment. Centuries behind are more like bedrock. It causes massive upheavals when they change events far behind the crest of time. They can alter time, but why? Some cataclysmic event in the distant future they keep trying to avoid. I'm not sure what yet, but I have my suspicions. And the dark tributaries? Something or someone is draining the life energy from them. I fear this is the pending fate of our own timeline. Not if I have anything to say about it, Eliphas said fiercely. How do we stop them? Minutes later, Eliphas programmed his transport dial to Washington, D.C. and vanished from the abyss. A Valkyrie safe house, Amarillo, Texas. Don't tell me we just came here for drugs after all you suffered breaking free, Gamma asked, while Boudikka rummaged through drawers and closets frenetically. Boudikka rolled her eyes and kept searching. I'm looking for a cell or a laptop that's been jailbroke so I can get onto the dark web. I see. Apologies. Skip it, she snapped, and slammed the door in disgust. It's been cleaned out. They're supposed to leave a... She stopped and stared suspiciously at a padlocked case in the rafters. Why is it abandoned? Are you kidding? After California dropped in the fireball, your orange God King has declared war on every non-Christian organization in America. We've had to pull from the red states and hunker down near the blue wall. It's not just immigrants he's putting into his slave camps. There's a civil war coming. Boudikka backed up a few yards and ran up a central pillar, barely gaining fingerhold on a rafter. She pulled herself up and trotted to the box with ease of an alley cat. Watch out! She kicked the box over and it dashed upon the concrete below, bursting open. Yes! Boudikka dropped and ran to the booty. She grabbed a cell phone and called Lexi. Lexi was shocked to see her boss's code pop up. Boudikka, how on earth? Where are you? Still Texas. What news? It's bad. Putin has basically taken over Europe. We have no more allies in contact. We're down to just the Canadian sects and the northern states. Trump's militias have arrested and imprisoned half our ranks. He's picking us off like meat on a bone. It's been 3 weeks. How can it have gone south this fast? We were swelling ranks like crazy from all the resistors. Religious fervor. The plague sent a lot of them to his side. This whole Christian nation thing Trump keeps ranting about. What happened to all the Artemis believers? Joan of Arc stopped posting her sermons a couple weeks ago. No one knows where she is now. She was our best recruiter. I think we're finished. Bullshit. We still have to far outnumber them. Hey, what the hell am I looking at? Boudikka took a photo of one of the devices that had spilled out of the trunk. Oh, that. We found it on one of the cops we ran up against. Micro says best guess is some kind of weapon. It's a sonic gun, Gamma chimed in. Boudikka turned from the pile of electronics to look up at him. Trump told me about them. He was supposed to be sending Ċoħdi a shipment from what he called the factory, which I strongly suspected was the slave camp where they took my mom. Interesting. Boudikka examined the weapon. Do you know how to operate it? Not a clue. Micro said he thought it might be an inoperable prototype. He couldn't make it do shit, Lexi explained. Boudikka flipped a switch on the side and depressed a button on the handle. Nothing happened. Just then, a swarm of rats darted from a pile of rotting wood and barreled across the room to the far corner. Sonic, huh? She aimed at the rats and pressed again. They all started squealing, defecating, vomiting, and convulsing in their own excrement. Boudikka chuckled. A whole shipment, huh? Washington, D.C. Eliphas materialized thousands of feet above the White House. They focused their etheric senses and peered into the Oval Office, listening to the heated discussion inside. You've got to be joking. Vladimir would never do that to me. You always were a war-hungry wingnut, Flynn. General Flynn slammed the table and put his nose 1 inch from Donald's. He played you like a fiddle, and now he's coming for us. Trump recoiled away from Flynn and muttered weakly, he wouldn't dare. You saw the video from Russian TV. What more do you want? He's claiming all of America has turned evil and must be destroyed. Are you blind? I don't speak Russian. How do I know you're not lying about what it says? You're a moron. I told you not to get into bed with him. Now he has all of Europe under his thumb and the Arab and Asian nations on his side. We're toast because of you. You can't talk to me like that. I'm president for life. I'll have you court-martialed and hanged. Traitor! Flynn lunged at Donald, grabbing him by the throat. I'll show you president for life. Donald froze as his eyes grew wide in terror. Then he realized he was not in any pain. He wasn't thirsty for air. Flynn's grip felt like a child's. Donald flung him across the room with an effortless, sweeping gesture. Flynn's bones crunched against the wall, and he lay in the corner as his breath slipped away. It's all true, he rasped. You are the Antichrist. He gulped and gurgled as his lungs filled with blood. Donald stood smiling over him, looking at his own tiny hands in amazement. You really are having a field day, aren't you? Eliphas raised an eyebrow at the sight of an old acquaintance as Donald spun around to find Ċoħdi crouched on his desk, smiling from ear to ear. Donald relaxed. Did you get it? Hello to you too, Mr. Supreme Lord of everything that creepeth upon the earth, Ċoħdi guffawed. Or whatever silly title you're using today. You dare mock me. I dare. What are you going to do, puncture my etheric lungs? You summoned me for help, remember? If you could sick Dantalion or Metatron on me, you wouldn't need me. And yes, I got it. Ċoħdi pulled a Copernican dial from his bag and dropped it onto the desk. Donald instantly forgot his rage and greedily swept at the bauble. But his hand went right through it. A trick. Not so. Give it about an hour to materialize into reality, and then you can put it on. It should bond to your DNA in a matter of minutes. I hear the process is quite painful. Unfortunate that I can't stay to watch. Sadistic freak. It better work. We had a deal. Yes, and Gramage thanks you for your generous soul offering from all your slaves. She may well be the top earner this lunar ceremony. I don't know what that means. I imagine you're used to it. What? Exactly. Ċoħdi guffawed again as he disappeared. Donald sat at his desk, ignoring the body against the wall and swiping in vain at the shimmering dial for an hour. After 10 minutes of this infantile behavior, Eliphas determined to go to Moscow to investigate Putin's activities himself. He lifted his wrist to adjust his Copernican dial, and it spoke. Greetings, Eliphas. My name is Charlotte. Laraj has informed me that you are a new addition to our circle of trust. I am indeed. Nice to meet you, Charlotte. How may I be of assistance? Armageddon draws near. We may only have hours left before this timeline is nullified and all our efforts are rendered pointless. We're all in this together now. It appears Donald has acquired a Copernican dial. This is most unfortunate, but it also means I can monitor him without your assistance here. What we ask of you now will require a bit more personal risk on your part. What risk? The whole point is to protect my love from being lost in time. Risking my life risks his. Everything is so transactional with you humans and your spirits. Very well. What if I could reunite you with your love? You could bring me back to life? Eliphas gasped in amazement. No, of course not. But you've been to the parlor. You know it's possible. I hadn't considered that. But he's rejected me. He doesn't want anything to do with me. On the contrary, he still longs for you every day. Eliphas wept. How can you know such a thing? I have eyes and ears everywhere. The elites make sure all men of power are kept under tabs. Only Donald here has been able to avoid my surveillance, thanks to his connections with 𝚃𝚘𝚞𝚖𝚙𝚊𝚐𝚎𝚗. What do you need of me, then? We need you to prophesy the future and tell us if and when Donald unleashes nuclear weapons. I have no power of prophecy. You have the angelic eyes required to operate the God machine. And the risk? It may well drive you insane. Austin, Texas, 6 weeks ago. Joan watched from the weeds as the taillights of Barron's limousine disappeared over the horizon. It was too dark to search for her phone until sunup. When she finally found it, the screen was cracked from the fall, and it was down to 12%. In desperation, she tried to think of some way she could contact her father, but she had never had a need to call him. He had always been there or available for Charlotte to reach him. Charlotte? No answer. 10%. Joan started to cry, but immediately stopped, angry at her own self-pity. No, that part of me is dead. I don't need Daddy. 6%. But if she was going to call anyone for help, it had to be now. Joan thought of Felix, and her anger rose again. She remembered the video she made of the police raid. Fuck help, Joan growled. She uploaded the video to her main account, then hit record and spoke to her fans. I just posted a video of the aftermath of our Aid Festival. I don't know what Trump TV is telling you, but police surrounded and detained everyone there. When I escaped, they were loading people onto buses and taking them to goddess knows where. They were spitting on our people and calling them witches and witch lovers. Remember, some of these were innocent refugees from the California tragedy. This is a war on freedom, a war on humanity. We must rise up to fight. I will return when I can. Be courageous. This is Joan of Artemis signing off. And her phone went dark.